All right, everybody, welcome back. This is part 4 here of a day on the Dubkir Valley Railroad. My name's Kirk. I'm the owner and founder of Dubkir Media. You missed parts 1, 2, and 3. It's Dubkir Media. It's the company I started. We do primarily rail videos, but I also do some calendars, and I do have some projects on the table that I would like to get going. So that is something that I'm looking forward to. But currently, we're in part 4, and if you've missed parts 1, 2, and 3, I do recommend going to check them out because there's a fair amount of stuff that we've gotten done in the 5 hours of gameplay, 5 hours and 10 minutes of gameplay, including this. This is my coal train just arrived from the branch, the coal mine, and we are about to get the coal empty leaving. Apparently this doesn't like... There we go. But anyway, so a quick update in case you did miss the first 3 parts. I've got the passenger train is up near Hemingway, up near the summit. I've got 2 freights right now in Bryson. Those 2 trains, the westbound just arrived into the yard, and the eastbound was waiting for that one so it can bring cars back to Whittier. And first, though, I want to get this coal train going because, as I mentioned, I believe it was at the very beginning of part 1, this coal train is kind of one of my favorite jobs in terms of the operations, just because I can just give it an AI engineer and forget about it. There's something to be said about just lining its signals and going. Then passenger train, you just saw up in the corner. It's on the approach to Alarka Junction, so it will be up at the summit there momentarily. The 2 freights are in Bryson. This one's here. And last but not least, I have the 060 switcher at East Whittier. It's currently at the sawmill waiting for a gondola to finish loading. And I would imagine it's probably loaded by now. But I will go explore that once this Bryson to Dillsboro gets ready to depart. And I know a lot of people like using flight mode when they're doing stuff like this, and occasionally I will do it with this coal movement. It depends on what else I have going on. But because I had 2 movements at Bryson both finish, I felt confident enough to come down here in first-person mode. And as soon as this is done, we'll go into the dispatcher's room, line this train out. It should have clear signals all the way to Whittier. There we go. We're on. Headlights front. Actually, hang on. Let's double check these here. And I'm not of the belief that they have to be at 100%. I'm okay if they're, 70% or higher, but it is good to check them. I realize the AI engineer does a fine job, but even that car, the FEC car at 77%, I'm okay with them at 77. It's not the end of the world. Not gonna be a hot box, I don't think, if that's the case. So here we go. Now we've got the empty coal train from Silva to Robinson Gap. And while I'm back here, we'll throw a few handbrakes. This train is on the move. Our passenger train is up here. Our Dillsboro to Bryson's there, and I've got to get Bryson to Dillsboro. I have the X on the front just as a general merchandise. That comes from a nearby model railroad. He uses XM as his general merchandise symbol, so that's what I chose to kind of do here. And my whole symbol just disappeared. But okay, so passenger will soon be going this way. This one. And while I'm at it, we're going to grab number 1. We're going to select it, and we are going to manualize it because that train is stopped at the Alarka station and is ready to turn around and go the opposite way. And since I'm still running 10, we're going to officially get our empty coal train going. That's lined through Dillsboro. Like I said, it's probably going to make it all the way to East Whittier, so we'll line it up to Thomas Valley. And when I was learning to dispatch, again, it was a local model railroad. I was always taught first one you line should be the furthest where it is that you're wanting to send the train. So right now I got it lined to the main at Thomas Valley. Now I can forget about the coal train for a while. And with that said, jump back to Silva just so that we can, in first person mode, go almost as completely across the railroad as possible. First time we've been at Alarka Junction proper in any of our videos. We were close to here at the beginning of part 1 when we started the coal run out of the mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of these cars. We're going to move the train, select, get the train off of the there we go. Now the train can load while I am turning the locomotive. And I like keeping, well, for starters, dispatching wise, you have to keep the car off of the block. Now the train's off the block, so that way I can use the dispatcher's panel to throw the switch. And what I need to do up here is back in our dispatcher, I got to line that one for westbound, and I got to line them back out that way. There we go. Close the mirror. And this is just a real quick process. I think once I get into, excuse me, not once I get into, but once the, oh, what do they call it? I just read it. Where the AI engineers can switch, it'll make this move a lot easier because then I won't have to do it manually. I can be down at Bryson switching right now. I could have done the move at the coal mine. I could have done that with the AI engineer. But again, for those who didn't see the early parts, this is as vanilla of the game as it gets. No mods, and I'm not on the experimental branch. And as of right now, the timetable update and all that stuff, the new SD7, none of those have been pushed through yet to the main branch. They did say in their latest update that it's close. So I know once they get that pushed through, I mean, they could literally push that through between the time that I'm done with this and the time I get it posted. So we'll find out. If not, this is how the game looked several months ago. And then I understand you can unlock the switches. For me, it's another added level of realism to have to ask the dispatcher. Even though I'm the dispatcher. And you saw how quickly it goes. I mean, you push a button, you click on a couple things, and we're done. And then this is the same move that the coal train will make later. So when the coal train gets up here, I'll park it on the main, just off here to the left. Right over here, and I'll pull the locomotive off, and we'll turn it and push the train up into the coal mine. But for now, we should have passengers loading. Yes, we do. We got passengers loading onto the train. It's not very many. I mean, those who have the game know that Alarka Junction doesn't spit out too many passengers. At least it doesn't prior to the branch line. And I wouldn't know. My railroad currently, as things sit, milestone-wise, I have brought 2 of the 3 Alarka Junction milestones here. So if we look, my Alarka branch, I'm 2/3 complete. My next phase is number 3. So once I finally decide I want to build to Alarka, which ultimately I do, but I'm still fairly new on the run between Whittier and Silva. Once I get comfortable enough with this run, with how things currently are, I will grab the line up there, grab as much traffic as I can up there, and so the run from Dillsboro, Silva, and then Silva to here only used roughly a quarter of the tank of water. So surprisingly enough, with the default 460 locomotive, you can run the passenger train from Silva to Alarka Junction and back on 1 tank of water and 1 load of coal. Pause it up here so I can watch myself blow for the crossing. Give my own little artistic flair. Which is one of the reasons why I don't particularly like using the H button. The H button just feels a little less personal. And also being on a PC, I have to worry about sticky keys if I try that too often. So ask me how I know about that. Done it more than once. For being in, what was it, middle school, high school, whatever, when sticky keys was kind of first discovered. You would just abuse it just so you could listen to the little clicking sound that it made. So dispatcher gives number 1 permission to pass signal displaying stop indication, main to main, for reverse movement onto the train. those are the kind of things that I do with when I'm playing this game by myself. Is I'll actually talk myself past the signals. I do it every once in a while if I'm dispatching on like a smaller. We've got a lot of model railroads in the area. A lot of them that actually run op sessions. There are a few of them where like I'll be the dispatcher as well as running a train, and so I'll talk to myself. And everybody just starts laughing. Really fun, actually. So there we go. Number one is on the train and it's occupying the block, so it won't need a signal. Got 34 passengers. I'm going to wait until noon to have this train depart. Just to give, 20 more minutes in case anybody shows up, possibility for more money. And with that, we look at my locomotives. We got the coal train running. We've got 2 is at the yard in Bryson, 5 is in the yard in East Whittier, and 20 and 21 are in Bryson. So we'll head back to Bryson. We'll grab 21, which is the power for what I call the birdie, Bryson to Dillsboro. Actually, we're just going to do this the easy way. There. Now I'm in Bryson. Of course, we got to let things load. The internet the last couple days has been a little on the wonkier side. We still have pretty good internet though. I think anyway. I didn't think so until I actually saw somebody else's footage playing this game, and I changed my tune very quickly once it was discovered that our internet actually isn't terrible. And then I think it was in part 3 I mentioned it. The moguls are fairly new to me, so I still haven't quite figured out the flair needed for their whistle, like I have with the 2 default locomotives and the consolidation number 10. And I kind of like having the locomotives just in the double-digit classes. I'm not planning on that many locomotives yet. Obviously, it would be fun to get the line open all the way to Andrews and all that, but I am still playing the game by myself, so it's got to go a little more smoothly. Though I got to admit, I am looking forward to having more switching here, sending more trains out from here. Your Dillsboro to Bryson is going to be have Alarka cars for west of there. And so on and so forth, but I got to get to that point first. I did just order phase 2 of the Montana Lake Bridge. So I ordered that towards the beginning of part 1. If you haven't watched parts 1, 2, and 3, I do recommend going back and doing that just to kind of see how I got here. Do some nice rail fanning in part 2. We got a lot of switching in part 1. And part 3's actually got a fair mix of it. Fair amount of switching, but you also get some rail fanning to start it. And that in mind, we are going to come all the way back here. So first 3 cars are all for Bryson, and the rest of the cars are going back. And while we're here, we're going to set the operations. So this car is going to unload here at Bryson. And obviously it's got to load at there. This one is going to unload at Dillsboro. Again, it's got to get parts via interchange. There we go. We got cars for interchange. We got cars for Dillsboro, and most of the front of the train is for Whittier. And we've got a random caboose up front that I've got to figure out what to do with it. Z there. That's how I stopped it where I did. We're going to stop the train up here, and we're going to cut the caboose off. Shove the caboose back just past these couple switches here. And normally I don't do this unless I have a car to shove it up against, but I'm just going to kick it. I think that's a good spot to stop our caboose at. Perfect. Made an FRA violation as we step in between. There we go. And there we go. So once we get things set here, we will be ready to depart. Up a little. Perfect. What do I have with me? I've got 12 cars with me, plus 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 cars. Give me a nice little train going up the hill out of town. At least for me, anyway. I realize there are people who have every industry set at Tier 3, and I'm just kind of starting off small, though. I've got my own backstory within my head as to why I kind of keep things small and going to eventually grow, but I've got to do it at my pace. I find it kind of fascinating that the day that I decide to do this video and talk about how I like the blue cars because it adds some variety, I happen to get a black box car. I don't recall having a black box car before, but it works. It works. I like the variety. Flag the crossing. I'll blow for it too, but gotta flag it. Actually, I usually don't. I said I'd have the passenger train depart at 12. So I got it actually moving at 12:02, which actually isn't terrible considering how easily a person can forget about something like that. So the IBR is officially no longer a train. It's just now the Yard Switcher Bryson. Back over here. Our empty coal train is now almost all the way to Barker's Creek. Birdie is down here. Passenger train is on the move. Perfect. No signals lined anywhere. Now it's time to line my general manifest out. Got 17 cars, and don't know if there's work at Ela. All right, get this one out. I gotta admit, I do like being in the dispatcher's room when a train goes blowing past. There's just something fun about it. Didn't realize the locomotive was on this side of it. Perfect. All right. So now, with that in mind, we can go check out Ela to see if I have anything to pick up there. If not, then this train is clear all the way to Whittier. And this kind of thing I do in flight mode. I know this car was getting fairly close. Nope, it'll be a tomorrow run. Both of those are good, so no work in Ela. This train is going to straight to Whittier. Sit back down. And this is where I do my counting, so we'll just count it at Barker's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, which means the meet will take place probably at Whittier. So we'll have the freight stay on the main and the coal train go in the siding. There we go. I got those two lined for a meet at Whittier. Perfect. Oh, and there's my character standing above the panel. I like it. A little creepy, but hey, why not? Then the passenger train, it's got a station stop here and a station stop in Bryson, so it may be able to make the coal train over to Ela for the meet. I don't know. I'm an aggressive dispatcher. All right, so our next move, we are going to go back now to Whittier, and we're going to grab number 5. And number 5 is going to bring these cars up to the yard. We're going to go check them out first, though, real quick, because our holdup in here, if you watched part 2, I think it was part 2, may have been part 3, I don't know. They all run together. Been playing this game for a few hours straight now. We got 5 loads, 6 loads. Okay, this one, the Grand Trunk is ready for interchange, but the Santa Fe is not, so pop that one. And we'll go. And I do like that. Part of me likes that this train is, or that this trackage over here is not CTC controlled, but also a part of me wishes that it was CTC controlled. While I'm thinking of it, I am going to stop the freight short of the crossing. I don't like blocking the crossings on these sidings, so we'll stop our freight train short. And then we got time until both of those trains get here. I mean, what is it, 7 miles for the freight train to get here from Bryson? I don't go too fast, you know. I realize that the speed limit on the main line is, 30, 35 miles an hour. But, you know, I like taking the time a little bit, give myself some time to think, some time to do these switching moves. So that's why I kind of keep my trains at 15 miles an hour with the passenger train at 20. I originally had the passenger at 15 as well, but the first day that I went to Silva, it took a long time for that train to get back. So I decided I would run it at 20, and it's kind of fun operationally because sometimes I'm in this situation I'm in now where the freight train is going to be fairly good and well ahead of the passenger. And then there are other times where passenger is on the approach to Bryson as the freight train is ready to leave Bryson, and it's all just like the railroads. I mean, it's very situation dependent on what's going on. And then if anybody's watching this and they're either thinking about getting the game or they're new to the game or whatnot, I really like this sawmill business. It does take a little bit of your time, but it is your number one paying customer because you got to bring them the pulp or the logs, which is why I think it won't be too much longer before I'm ready to get the paper mill going in Silva, because you're going to be having to take pulpwood to it. But I do want to get some time under my belt with this run east of East Whittier, because I just want to get it kind of situated, know what it is that I'm getting myself into. So I only have 6 cars, bringing them up to here, and then I'll put them on this close track, and then when the birdie gets here, the cars that are for Whittier will go on this second track, which will get which will have the locomotive on this side. It'll allow me to pull forward and then just back onto this cut of cars, back this cut of cars onto the rest of the train, and it's actually a very quick maneuver. So our passenger trains departing Hemingway. Did not have any passengers for Hemingway, but apparently there are passengers coming from Hemingway, which I'm okay with. It works. Not every station is going to be heavily involved in passengers. And Hemingway is a good candidate for being not heavily involved in passengers because there are no industries there. So what reason do people have, especially on this particular train where it's coming from Alarka Junction? Alarka Junction to Hemingway is not that far. All right, here we go. Put on a few pounds pressure, and we'll coast to a stop. Because only being 6 cars, obviously we're clear of that switch now. If I remember correctly, these tracks can hold 9 cars. Because this was the main track that I would use for my outbound interchange when this was the interchange point. So I did a fair amount of running around on this second track. So I'm just going to bring number 5 up here and get it out of the way. There's no reason to back it all the way back up to the yard or anything. So we'll park it somewhere down here around the curve, and that will be that. I'm just going to stand on this main line until I get hit by a train. Actually, that's not what's going to happen, but I can get a locomotive and a car in there, right? Perfect. So there we go. Number 5's out of the way. Our switches, I'm going to line our switches up for the train doing the set out. There we go. And I'm also going to set a QZ down here. So that way I can have the AI bring the train up this far if I want to. I know those switches are thrown because I just ran over the top of it. Let's go check out the logs. Let's see how far we are along in our log unloading. Appears to be most of them, at least for sure the cars for L2 are all unloaded. Yep. I do believe we are at... Yeah, so the lake is at full capacity right now, so I'm guessing the logs will not be going back up the hill on this day, so it'll be another first thing in the morning tomorrow. And so here are my white skeleton cars. I talked about it a little while. I think it was in part 1, part 2, part 3. I don't know. It was one of those parts. But originally, when I first found out that you could customize all your equipment, I just kind of started clicking on stuff to see how everything looked. And my first thought was, oh, well, what if you just changed the log cars from black to white? And I think the white log cars just look phenomenal. I know I might be by myself in that, but oh well. Back to Bryson we go. Passenger trains coming down the hill to Bryson. We'll line passenger train up as far as we can. Coal train is on the approach to Thomas Valley, which means if you look, it should be a really well-timed meet. And I should be able to get that coal train down to Ela in time for the passenger train. If not, it's going to be really close. I do realize the passenger train's going faster. But now we're here. We are in Bryson. We're going to grab number 20, which is sitting at the other end of the yard. It's over there. Rather than run over there like a noob, I'm going to... Sometimes I forget about that ability, but I don't mind. We're going to go in between. We're going to... Now it's time to do the switching in Bryson that needs to be finished. What I like to do is I like bringing my locomotive out here, and then I take it back to the turntable. And then get it on the turntable, get it flipped around its proper direction. Unless it needs to go into the shop, I do leave it smoke box first into the shop, but as you can see, the condition's 98%. It would be less than an hour in the shop, and I don't need to do that. Actually, if I remember correctly, this one was just in the shop like 2 days ago. Because when I bought it, just the way things were lined up, this is the locomotive that took the coal run for the first few days that I had it. And the first few days that I had it, you know, obviously you're going all the way from Silva to Robinson Gap and back. Closer than I normally cut it. Poor locomotive handling. It's all right. We got it though. And now I can keep it under my 5 miles an hour. And this is the fun part. I like watching the headlights shine on the equipment that's sitting in front of you. And this is where I check and see if it needs any servicing. It's got 8.5 tons of coal left. It's got over 3,000 gallons of water, so we're set. It doesn't need servicing. But what does need servicing is that coal car needs brought over here to the coaling tower. So we do have a little bit of work here before this passenger train arrives. And ultimately, that's what's going to keep me busy here until I can shove them out to Appalachian hardwoods. All right, switches are lined all the way out to here. Put my character out there, and we'll. I don't remember the full capacity of the coaling tower, but I know it's this coal car that I have is not going to be filling the whole thing up. If that makes any sense. Who's in good shape? It could probably use another trip to the shop. Because I don't deal with it based on the condition percentage. I deal with it based on how long it's going to spend in the shop. And I don't want any of these locomotives spending more than, 4.5 hours in the shop. And that's just a personal preference. I realize a locomotive that's 91% is that's an A. 91% is an A. If you're a student and you got a 91% on a test, I think you would be pretty satisfied with that. I would have been. Here we go. We're going to go back onto this 3-car cut up here. We're going to bring all of them back. I'm going to keep the 2 box cars right around in here. Then I'm going to drop the coal car off on the coaling tower track. And then I will shove the 2 box cars out to the end of the siding and wait for the passenger train. If I even have to wait for... Oh, I don't even have to wait for the passenger train. There it is. We're even going to throw on the dim headlight because it can. Well, there we go. That was fun. All right, coupled up on that end. We close our angle cock on this end and pull forward. And if you'll note, I do have different whistles on the different classes of locomotives. The two original, I just left the originals. It's kind of my way of doing a quote-unquote ode to the railroad I'm purchasing this from. Those were their whistles. It's kind of their history type deal. But then I liked the Nathan 6 chime on the consolidation, the number 10, because I had figured all along that would kind of be a coal hauler. Maybe once it's not hauling coal anymore, it would be hauling stuff on the Alarka branch. So to me, the 6 chime has a very mountainousy feel. That's even a word, mountainousy, mountainous. And then once I got the moguls, because it's basically, this locomotive is a larger version of the original locomotive, which was also a mogul. I figured I'd keep it as a 5 chime, but I wanted it to be kind of a little deeper. That way you could hear that this one was a more powerful version of it. So I just chose the regular Nathan 5 chime. In real life, I know jack squat about horns and whistles and stuff. Don't fully understand how people have gotten so good at knowing what horn it is that they can hear one 2 miles away and tell you, oh, that's a Leslie, or oh, that's a Nathan, or I don't even remember what the horn is that's on the ES44s and 70 Aces now. I know it's a K5 something or other, but like there are some that have L's in them, some that have A's in them, some that have H's in them. Yeah. So here we go. Now we're going to shove the coal car back onto this track. All my signals are lined. Up number 2. There we go. Real quick, I'm going to go silent just real quick. I got to plug my computer in, so hang on. Okay, we're back. We're back. Literally all I had to do was plug it into the wall. The charging part was plugged into the actual computer itself. So. And then I'm debating what locomotive I want to have spending its time in Bryson. And this is down the road. I'm planning down the road. I'm debating what locomotive I want having spending its time in Bryson, like right now number 2 is. Because I know at some point I'm going to need helper. Potential need helper based out of here. But I'm also going to need something that's good at switching, kept over at Dillsboro. That's ultimately what I want to do. Is I want to run the local for the paperboard out of Dillsboro Yard. Okay, so I just got the alert that this one is on the approach there, so that's cool. We're gonna have actually a very, very well timed meet. Passenger trains at Bryson. All right, so I'm going to couple up to these, and then what we're going to do is we're going to head over to Whittier so that we can watch this meet. I know the meet is going to be fairly soon here. So okay, computer's getting a little slow on me here. Computer's going really wonky on me here. All right. I was thinking the coal train was a little closer. That's why I pulled off that few Z, but apparently not. And we know it hasn't gone by because you'll see the signal is lined for it. So I do believe you can hear... Yep, there he is. Looking through the trees. Get in position for a nice shot here. Again, I like rail fanning the game. It's a fun game to rail fan. And they were smart enough to give you what they call photo mode. That way you actually can rail fan the game. So here we go. Going to have a meet between our westbound coal empty and our eastbound mixed train. That was gorgeous. That was absolutely gorgeous. While we're here, we're going to sneak him out. And we'll watch that signal raise up. All right, and so now that the meet has happened, and now that this one has cleared this block, we're going to come in here. We're going to throw the switches. So that way he can, or I guess it's a single switch, but throw this switch. So that way it can go in and work the East Whittier yard. And the coal train should be now fully on the move and ready for a meet at Ela. And I think that will be a pretty well-timed meet also. This actually isn't a bad spot for us to leave. So this will be the end of part 4. We do want to thank you for watching it. Be sure to subscribe and find us out on Facebook and Instagram. Give us a like, follow there, and we'll keep you updated. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one.